Are so versatile, and I've selected a range of my favourite projects that myself, Pete and Jess have made while we've had the opportunity to have a play around with these lovely dies. So I'm going to jump straight in. Now I'm going to start by talking about the kind of funky range of dies here. Funky being in the name, we've got funky toadstools, we've got funky trees and funky leaves. So here are the funky toadstools. Now what I like about this funky range, which you will see within the other kind of dies of that title, they have an almost cartoony quality to them. So just look at these. But they also have all those details that are just there to be layered up really nicely. And I know that Pete's had a lot of fun trying to think of cheesy mushroom, fungi puns just to back these cards up. So that is the funky toadstools. We also have funky trees over here. Now just look at this really kind of simplistic design. Now this is a colorized die, so there are different elements. All of the embossed lines show you where to place those elements, so you can't go wrong. But they just provide the opportunity for you to have shaded parts, darker parts, all within the same simple picture that just turn it into a really lovely piece. There we are, so that's funky trees. And we have funky leaves here. So again, it's just that kind of bold but simple style with all those layering elements to create shade and just different kind of bits of dimension that really make these dies work. So there we are. Now, moving on, so I'm going to show you one of our mask dies here. Now this is called Flowery. The actual die itself is this size here. So this has just been cut from some of our silver opulent cardstock there, put on the front of a card, and it's done. So it's as simple as that, but it's not just that. You can also take segments on it like so, but just look how different these two cards are, and they're created using the same die set there. We've also got some makes here, a bit more kind of bright, bold and simple, where we've just added some colour. Now these mask dies, that's what they're brilliant for. You cut the mask out and then the die is just ready. It has all that fantastic detail and it's ready to just put over a nice ink blended surface, something like that. And this one here, just tone on tone. If I just move that around in the light, has a really kind of simple, classy feel. So that one there is Flowery, and it's a mask die. Oh, do you know what? I forgot to show you actually my favourite of those makes. Now this is a kind of off diagonal square we've actually inked the card before cutting out, so the inked surface is actually on the die cut piece there. So that's fantastic. Again, so this sort of die is ready. You just cut it out, put it through the machine, and it's ready to put on the front of the card, and it just really makes that card. So that was the Flowery die here. Now this is one of my favourites. These are Wildflower Stems number 3. I've got a few cards here. So we've got this one here. Now it's these dies here. Now these kind of realistic silhouette dies that just show these really cool detailed flower stems. And just look at that. So these have been put in front of the Swirls embossing folder here, which I will show you another make with a bit later on. So here we've just stamped on the front there. We've created a really kind of grungy mixed media look, and then there we've got that clean look as well. We've actually got quite a few examples of using this. So again, we've got that kind of classic mixed media look there with some stamping on. Here I've used the aperture of this die rather than the actual die cut piece, so you have that option to kind of put it in front of an inked background as well to let the ink show through. So that's great, you can use it as an aperture as well. And then we've just got this lovely range. We've inked the flowers here, and we've just stuck it to the front of a card. This sentiment's been cut out using a die that I'm going to talk about in a bit. That's the alphanumeric bold. And just look at that. Simple, elegant, classy, and just really easy to produce cards like this. So this is the Wildflower Stems. You get a few different flowers within this same set, so you're really getting your money's worth with that card. Oh, let me just show you this one as well. How lovely is that? Nice, bright, inked flower just on a white background, and it's done. So that's Wildflower Stems number 3. We also, so talking about the embossing folder that we used, I'll just remind you of the one that I showed you earlier. So we had these cards here. Now these are both using that Swirls embossing folder, and I've just brought it to life a little bit with some silver gilding wax. But you don't need that, because these embossing folders, the detail of the emboss is just fantastic. It's astonishing. It looks as though it's you know, like a vacuum formed piece of plastic. It's that much detail, and the edges are so crisp. So any gilding wax, it's easy to just pick up those raised areas. But again, the work is done for you. You put it through the machine, you cut around it, and then you've got that surface to work from. So that's the Swirls embossing folder. Now, sticking on that theme of embossing folders, I have some impresslets that I wanted to show you. So this is the Lucky Love. Now these both come as part of one impresslet folder. The difference between an embossing folder and an impresslet is that the impresslet also has a steel blade around the embossed area in the folder, so it's inlaying within the folder, so it cuts that embossed area out as well. So these shapes, these are cut out with one run through the machine, and they emboss at the same time. But just look at those as embellishments there. Now this could go on the front of a jar, which I'll show you later with another folder. They can be card fronts like this. You don't need to make them that kind of grungy look. We've got you know, nice poppy bright colours as well that you could just use these with them being our 3D texture embossing folders using that same technology. We get that perfect crisp emboss, which has just got all that detail, which just brings your card to life. So that one there is the Lucky Love. We also have, this is the Floral Frame. Now I've got, just to show you, we're not just showing cards today, because here is a lovely home decor frame. Now it's this element here, and then we've put through here one of the floral elements from the Wildflower Stems number 3 that I showed earlier. But if I can just catch the light with that, just look at the detail in there. And this is only, you know, it's not too big, but the amount of detail in there for the size of it is really breathtaking. So we have that there, and then I've also put that on the front of a jar. Just painted the jar black, glued the impressed area onto the jar, and then I've just gone over the whole thing with some gilding wax. And this would be great for, you know, you could put a number in the middle, maybe a table number for a wedding or a restaurant or anything like that. So this one here, again, that one there is the Floral Frame. Really cool. I didn't show you this one, so this is just one of the elements actually from this same set here. So you get this feather set, and I remember seeing this Pete did a Create and Craft recently, where the presenter told him that actually he would buy this set just for this feather. That's really cool. Just the fact that you can layer one set on top of the other and they all fit together, and it just creates that light and dark, and it lets the light kind of play over these makes. and create dimension. So this is another sort of mask die. This is the perspective butterfly. Now again, I've got quite a few different makes for this because these dies are just so versatile that we just can't stop creating these different makes. So I've got loads for you today with this. The perspective butterfly, it cuts out, now this is only half of it, but this cuts out this butterfly element. Now it cuts out a full butterfly element here, so it's symmetrical, but here's how we've just used half of it to create this lovely card front here. Now here we're using a little bit more. So it's one of those dies where you can decide to either use the whole thing, maybe on a home decor piece, or you can just take small elements from it and just create as you go. And here we've got it with a more kind of mixed media feel. There with a bit of paint dragging and gilding wax. So the difference between this card and this card, we're just using the same die there, so the ideas and the possibilities are endless. Here we've got some really nice bright colours with a kind of inked mixed media effect there, but a nice bright mixed media. And there we are again. So that one is the perspective butterfly die. Okay, so this one here, this has got two of the dies I'm going to show you. Now this is one of the alphabet dies here. It's the alphanumeric stretch. Now that you have this in the upper and the lowercase, this is the lowercase, which you get the numbers with as well. I've used that with this die here, which is another mask die called Bubbling. And I've inked a piece of card and just cut straight through, and you get this lovely kind of bubbled surface here. But not only that, you also get to use the actual die cut pieces from it. So when I cut this shape, I thought, you know what, I'm not wasting those inner pieces because I love a kind of organic looking off circle. And just look at that. So these both using the same die set, and that's the Bubbling die. Here we've got some of the numbers from the alphanumeric stretch there, and here we've got the alphanumeric bold. So it's these same letters, they've just been elongated and stretched for these to create a really cool effect. But these letters here, which are the same ones we've used in these cards here, this is the alphanumeric bold. Now, these letters are that perfect size. I think I've been waiting for some alphabet dies that just hit that sweet spot between being really big and taking up a lot of space on the card front, or being really tiny and having that detail. We've got this lovely size in between. So I've been waiting for this to come out. These are the perfect size to just get a nice big bold bit of lettering on the front of an average size card there. And look at that. So this here, Pete's made this. He's used the aperture and with an inked background, but just look at that effect there. So with this die set, you have the option of using the die cut pieces or the aperture there. And I love the way that Pete's left the little bits out, which you could stick in to create that full O there, but he's left it out, and I think that's a really nice stylized bit of work there. So that one was the alphanumeric upper, alphanumeric bold, and this one is the alphanumeric stretch, which I've used here just to add this sentiment here. And what I would say about this writing, this font die even, is that it's nice and big. It does take up a good amount of space on a card front, but it's also a die that you can fit a lot of letters into one place because they are still thin as well as being tall. So that's great. Now we've got Bloom here. This is another sort of colorized where we are able to layer up all those different elements for a dimensional feel. And here we've done the same thing, tone on tone, and added some gilding wax there. But on this one, you can see that it's all layered on top of itself. And again, with any kind of Tim Holtz layering die, you've got the embossed areas, so you know where you're going to be sticking those extra bits on top, and it just creates so much detail. What a great die. But then you're also able to play about with all the different colours, add shading with that different layering effect, and create something. It's almost like a paint by numbers, but as a die. So how fun is that? Now, Bigs, I am just going to finish off by showing you two of my favourite Bigs die. We've got the mechanical one here. So here we've got the classic cogs, those kind of Tim Holtz-esque cogs that you know just bring any make to life. But we've got them big, and they're with it being a Bigs die, you are able to then cut it from you know, a multitude of different thick materials. You've got leather, you've got on mat board, there's plastic, vellum, fabric, but also just look at the dimension they create. Now I've just cut these from some of our mat board, painted it black, added some gilding wax. But with those materials, I was still able to create that nice straight edge there just by cutting with one of our craft knives. So there's that. And then we also have this other Bigs wildflower die set. I love all of the wildflowers like this, these, you know, the tiny dainty ones. But with this being a Bigs, it gives you the opportunity to create more robust effects there. Now I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but this is just so tactile because we've used all these different effects on it and built them up, and that's what it's capable of with using a more robust material that we can achieve using a Bigs die. So the wildflowers in a Bigs give us that opportunity to create so much more from so many more different materials. There we are. And that is about it. So these are all the makes that I've chosen for you today, but feel free to go and have a look at the full range, because we have got more colorized dye. We've got Harrison the lion, we've got Oliver the bunny rabbit, we've got a few more Bigs dies available. Just go and have a look at the website, go to the Tim Holtz section and have a look at the full range of these exciting, versatile Chapter 1 dies. I'll see you next time.